Well, hello, Stampers. It's the Pampered Stamper, and welcome to Tuesday's Stories and Stamps. Today, I'm showing you a card that's being made with Desert Detailed stamp set, which is an amazing stamp set that I at first did not even like. So that's a cool story in itself. The first thing I want to say is that this card is not a Jackie original. It is by Bruno Bertucci. And Kylie and Bruno are from Australia, and they're the ones who first started the Scrappy strip technique. And it's a way of making a really cool background with strips of patterned paper. And the idea is that you can use leftover scraps, but yeah, you don't have leftovers when you first buy a brand new pack of paper. So I'm going to get started and show you. So I'm using, well, I'm not using all of them. I'm actually only using this die. These are the dies that go with the Desert Details stamp set. So I'm going to I put this on the black mat from the Stamparatus. So we've got two different frames here. We have this, I like to call this an aloe vera, but I'm not sure if that's really what it is. Let's have a look. Here is the flower that I've stamped on Very Vanilla. And this is the one that we're going to use for the card. And it's stamped on crumb cake. See? And that is stamped in Cajun Craze. And then here's the little bitty flower stamped in Cajun Craze on crumb cake. Here's the aloe vera in Soft Succulent. Oh, and I'm missing this die. There's a big, long, skinny die that does this. It must be on my desk somewhere. But that's a really cool one as well. Here is the little guy that does that. Then we have this frame. And we have this frame. And I'm not using these for the card at all, but I thought it would be nice for you to see them. It's really cool. I'm using this. It's been stamped on a scrap of crumb cake. That's about a 1/2 inch wide. And it's been stamped in Versamark and then white embossed. I thought I'll have that ready because the purpose of this video is to show you how to do the Scrappy strip technique. You're going to need a piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm using centimeters today. 13.2 by 8.9. Pale Papaya, 14 centimeters by 9.7. And then this crumb cake covers the whole card front, 10.5 centimeters by 14.9. And I have run that through the embossing folder, and it is called Timber 3D embossing folder. Okay, the number for that is 156406. Okay, it's a 3D embossing folder, so you would run that through with just the gray number 4 plate and the base. Okay, just so you know. And then we're using a crumb cake card base. Okay, all right, let's get started. And I'm debating about sponging this with a blending brush to make it come out more beautifully. So I thought I would open up the mini catalog to the page. We're going to be using the dry brushed metallic specialty designer paper and the delicate desert designer series paper. And here you can see some cards made with it. Like I said, I didn't at first fall in love with this at all. And then I made this card. And I absolutely love the way those two stamps make such an amazing pattern. So I have this on YouTube. I think it's fantastic. So anyway, let's take a look at the paper that we're going to be using. So here are the 3 sheets of, there we go, focus in nicely, of the desert paper. And then this is that dry brush specialty paper, the foil. It's really beautiful, but I think it's beautiful in little bitty pieces. Okay, so what we're going to do, the most crucial tool that we have is the paper trimmer. And the one thing that when you do the Scrappy strip technique is that your first strip has to be straight along the edge. So I'm actually cutting 3 at once. I'm not sure if that is a good idea. And I'm going to cut it at about a 1/2 inch. You don't have to measure for the rest. The strips are also 6 inches long. And the reason that they're longer is that gives you lots of wiggle room for putting it on your paper. So that's the first one. And then after this, I'm just going to cut them on angles, not straight. Maybe I should do a few at a time. I mean, one at a time, but I don't really want to do that. So I'm just doing that and going the other way. And I'm doing it about 12 pieces at a time, like all together. I don't know how many we really need. I'll cut extras so that I can make more than one card, but you can see how the pieces are not perfectly straight. They're skinnier at one end and wider at another. And you can change the width and the angle of that. And I've done this technique a long time ago, so I'm slightly nervous about doing it. And then I think this will be it. And then we're going to cut a few of the pretty foil paper. I'm doing 2 of those at a time as well. And I'm curious as to how I'm going to like this. Is it going to stress me out or is it going to make me happy? You don't know. Not all techniques are for everybody. So, you just have to find your thing. But it's fun to try new things. It's just like fancy folds. Not fancy. Fancy folds aren't for everybody, right? So you kind of find out like what you do, and then try something new every once in a while. But it's okay to have your own style and your own niche of doing things. So what we're going to do now, I have to find my vanilla piece. All those pieces are going to go on here. Okay, so I have my first strip, and it's a straight one. And then I've made a pattern that I want to follow. And you don't have to do that. You can do it random too. But I'm following Bruno's example, and I'm going by a pattern. And then underneath here at the bottom, I've made piles of those patterns, so I can just grab one as I go. Now, wish me luck. We're going to leave a slight white space in between, and I decided to put it on my silicone mat. In the past, I've covered the whole thing with adhesive, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to, and actually, I should be putting the adhesive. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right to the edges, just because it's important to get your edges well adhered. Because when you cut off the strip, see, watch, I'm going to lay this on here, and the strip is going to extend on both sides. So later on, I'm going to cut this off with a paper trimmer, but if I don't have adhesive on my corners, it could get messy and pieces could start falling off. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive like so. This is tricky. I'm not sure what the best way to do this is, so I'm going to do this. So I'm leaving a little piece of white in between. And I want it skinnier at the top. See, this is the nice thing. I'm sliding it to where I want it to go. There. And then this one is going to be the next one. And I think I want the fatter end at the top. And we're just going to see how this goes. So a little bit, oops. You know what, the more you do this, the better you're going to get. And I'm actually kind of happy that I'm showing you this and I don't really know what I'm doing. So we'll see. And when I'm done this, then I might have some words of wisdom for you. So far, so good. The next one is going to be this. And I want the fat end at the, I don't know why I'm switching them. Maybe I can keep the fat end on that side. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I think for this one, I'm going to put the adhesive on the paper. And then I'm just going to put a little bit at the top. And I want as wide of a piece as possible there. And see, because you have liquid adhesive, you can kind of push it around. And I like that. So this is kind of fun. Like, this is playing for me. And I think it's definitely something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. This is not my normal style, I would say. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing it how I want to do this. And this one's going to have the skinny one at the top and the wider, maybe a little bit wider, this one, which means I can go a little wider here. I'll put a little bit on the top. A little glue does go a long, long way, that's for sure. There. But once, I think you're going to be impressed once we're done this card. The shiny paper definitely has a bit of a glare. Okay, and now we're going to go back. So we've got 5 different patterns, and now we're going back to the first one again. And so we're going to do this one. Maybe I'll go all the way to the, well, not quite. I'm going to hold my finger on here. That's a good edge. Then I know that's as far as the glue has to go. Okay, so maybe that's a good trick. And I had eyeballed it. I knew I wanted to go right near the top. So nice little edge again, a little white space in between. Vanilla, actually. This is very vanilla. And then the next one I need is this one. So, yeah, it's looking good. I'm wondering if I should do this one like this as well so that I get more of an angle going. I think I will. Okay. Yeah, do you talk to yourself too when you scrapbook or make cards? I do. I don't usually answer myself. I've never done that. I've heard that if you start answering yourself, well, then you're really in trouble. If you're really having a conversation with yourself. But you know what? Who's to say what normal is? Okay, so now we're going to go with this one. And a wider strip this time. It's kind of cool to see how the patterns go. Like, I'm not always the most logical person, so I don't always understand everything. And so I learn as I go, and I go, oh, okay, now it makes sense. So don't feel like you always have to understand something perfectly before you go for it. Just remember it's only paper, and you have more of it. Most of us have more paper than what we know what to do with. So feel free to play a little bit. Don't be so afraid to, if we waste a little bit, that's okay. Okay, now we're going to this one. I'm going to go with the skinnier piece this time. And that looks cool. So yeah, it's important, I think, as adults that we don't forget to take time to play. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't worry about it being perfect. Perfection is overrated. You don't often see perfection in nature either. Just remember that. And yet when we walk through, take a good moment the next time you're walking through the forest and look at the trees. And you will see that there are trees of different sizes and shapes. Okay, I see that I can cover the whole piece here with glue. And there's big trees, and there's skinny trees, and there's short trees and tall trees, bumpy trees, smooth trees. And what do we say when we're walking in the forest? Wow, isn't this beautiful? And yet, when it comes to people, we don't always celebrate our differences, or we don't our own differences. We think we have to fit in. Okay, so let's have a look-see. That's my deep moment. See, the nice thing about doing it on the silicone mat, there. So now we're going to turn it upside down, and we're going to trim off all those ends. Okay, we've survived so far. This is great. I'm excited. Okay, so you want to get to the square end, and that's why we started with a flat piece. I'm feeling I should be letting it dry for a little while, but we start with a flat piece so that we can actually go right to the top of the paper trimmer and trim it all off. There we go. And I knew that this was going to happen, that I'd get a bit stuck to my paper trimmer, because the glue is on a few places where it probably shouldn't be. There. Look at that. That's pretty cute. Okay. We'll save those pieces for something else, for the inside perhaps. I've got glue everywhere now. That's okay. Now we're going to turn it around, and I'm going to the bottom of my trimmer. And here we go. And you know what? I should probably have been more patient. Here, I'm just going to move this so that you can actually see it. And waited till all my glue was dry, and then I would save my paper trimmer. But patience is not my strong suit. So there we go. I'll clean my trimmer later. How's that? Some of you must be cringing right now. I know. You know what? I have about a half an hour of daylight left, or of good enough light to video, and I want to take advantage of that. There. Okay, let's take a look and see. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And I think maybe I should have made my strips more angular. I don't know, but this is my first try and I'm not disappointed. Okay, so now let's see. I'm thinking perhaps I'm going to move this off. I want to take this piece, and I have decided that I do want a sponge. So I'm going to take my blending brush and crumb cake ink, and you'll just see how this pops, because from what you can see now, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and here you can't see too much, and I don't know if it's my lighting or it's just very subtle. See, there's the print, the pattern, but when we do this, and I just have to do the edges because you're not going to see the middle part. It's going to be covered. But I want to bring out that wood grain a little bit. And it's coming. You could also swipe it with the ink pad, but then it would be super dark. I do want a bit more of a subtle look. Sorry if things are shaking a little bit. It's pretty. Oh yeah, my camera is my phone, and it's in a phone stand. And if I make too much movement, it does shake a little bit. So I am sorry for that. I am looking into getting a new system for videoing, and I'm hoping it might be more stable, but I'm waiting till we move to our new place. One thing at a time. Can't have it all perfectly right away. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Okay, so we're going to take the pale papaya, and I kind of want to distress that too. Or should I? Let's have a look. This is going to go on the pale papaya piece. And then it's going to go on the wood grain piece. Maybe I'm not going to distress it. I'm going to leave it. Okay, let's put some adhesive on here. That's the easiest part. When the card comes together, that's when the magic happens. You see all the pieces, and at first you might think, oh, I don't know if that's that great, Jackie. I don't know if you've hit this one out of the park. Now, mind you, I can't take the credit for this. I did figure out the measurements all by myself. I played around. I did not watch the video. I couldn't see Bruno's video actually, so I just saw the picture and I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. And I thought, it's nice for you to see maybe someone who's not as gifted try it and play, and then you can learn to see how I do it, because that's just the thing. You see something online, you look at it and you think, okay, I'm going to try that. And you can tweak it, because I don't think Bruno did the distressing, and I kind of like that. He also used craft paper, and I didn't have any here. I'm just going to press it the other way. I didn't have any craft paper, so I used crumb cake, which is a little bit lighter, and so the distressing helped me. So that's just kind of making it work there. And now we're going to put it on our card front. So this is going to be a bit of a heavy card. Lots of layers going on here. The liquid glue is super strong. Sometimes if you don't have a fine hand and you use too much glue, you will get glue on your fingers. That's not the end of the world. Just rub them together and it will come off just like a sunburn, like, peeling skin on a sunburn. Just rub it, it comes off. Okay, so now we're going to take, you guys can vote. Oh yeah, that does look really nice, doesn't it? So there's the flower. Then I had my aloe vera plant, which has now disappeared. Ah, here it is. And see, this is how it was. There was an aloe vera plant, there was a flower, and then there was this. So we're going to grab some scissors, not my ribbon scissors, and this is going to have a little notch cut into it. I'm just going to do this, cut towards, and then cut from the corner to your middle cut. And then you have, that's a pretty good way of getting a decent, like it does, again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you see how the colors all coordinate just so beautifully? That's what's so nice with Stampin' Up! And then this is just going to tuck underneath. We're going to move that a little bit that way. There. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this down first, and I'm going to pop it up, with some dimensionals, and that way I know where to put the flower, because the sentiment can't extend beyond the edge of the card. Now see how I'm putting my dimensionals on, and I'm putting the flat edge even with the flat edge, that way it won't stick out too far. Just a simple little trick, but it helps. Okay, so now I have all my backings off. Oops. There. And I want to put that near the bottom. And there we go. It can stick out a wee little bit, but not too much, otherwise it's not going to fit with the, there. And we'll pop up the, oh yeah, there's no, I thought there was maybe an exclamation mark. This is perfect. I'm going to put dimensionals on the top and the bottom of my flower, because then here, then it won't, I can't talk. Then it won't be bumpy over top of this piece, okay? I'm kind of creating a bridge. Whoops. And then I have to decide where the aloe vera plant's gonna go. I don't even know if it's an aloe vera plant. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's just what I thought of when I saw it. I didn't do any research. I have no idea. I was in the desert once. I stayed at Mary Fish's house for a retreat, and oh, the plants in the desert are just so beautiful. So different than what I'm used to. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my silicone mat for a minute. Oops. And then we're going to make a little puddle of glue. There. And then find a sponge. Is my sponge handy? I gotta find my sponge, sorry guys. I keep my sponge in a little Ziploc bag, and even then I still have paper bits stuck to it. It was hiding underneath something. And when my sponge gets really gross, then I just trim it off. And then my sponge gets smaller, and then I need to get a new one. Okay, so flatten it out. And then find your element. And then just sponge it on. And you notice I didn't go all the way to the top. That's okay. It doesn't have to be on perfectly flat. And now I want it extending past my flower. So I want to do that. And then again, the flower doesn't want to extend past the card. But look at that. How nice is that? I'm really happy with how it turned out. Thank you, Bruno and Kylie. Oh, there's a little something here. That doesn't belong there. And then in the inside, we could put a piece of Very Vanilla, and we can stamp. But isn't that just lovely? Sending warm rays your way. And then we can use our extra flower in the inside. Now, I'm not sure what I want to put in the inside, so I'm going to leave it blank, except for, I'm just going to move this over here. Oops, some more sticky stuff. I'm going to just stamp the flower in the inside. I'm taking the party inside. I'm just going to do that. And look how beautiful that is, and then we'll put that in the inside of the card, and then we'll call it a day. Now, I like to stamp my envelope as well. It's just a simple thing to do, but it is nice. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'm sure you are, please click the red subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner. And if you don't already have a demonstrator and you want to buy these supplies, all the information is underneath. There's these 3 little magic words, or 2, underneath the video that says show more. If you click on that, then the whole write-up, a little blurb comes up, and then you'll see the links to shop. Or if you want your own discount, you can join my team and get 20% off all your products. So there we go. Do you want to see the envelope stamp too? Let's do it. So our envelopes come in Very Vanilla and in white. So the white's on the bottom, and I'm going to use vanilla because I used vanilla in the inside of my card. So you can do 2 things. I'm just putting this on my grid paper. Let's see. You can stamp. Now, of course, you make sure you leave room for where the address goes and where the stamp has to go. But a safe place is on the bottom corner there, and then on the back on the envelope. And I like to do it right over the flap, like so. And then when they open it up, yeah, it's just fun. So you right away know that you're getting Happy Mail when you have something like that. Isn't that pretty? All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed Stories and Stamps. My story was really just about my creative process. I had wanted to tell you the story of how a family obligation, or at least in my mind it was a family obligation, can turn into a huge blessing. But maybe I'll talk about that next time. Remind me, And in the meantime, family is really important. So if you have, um, well, no matter what, whether they're sick or old, it doesn't matter. Cultivate your family because they're a part of you. And make peace, make joy, reach out, and send them a card. It's the least thing you can do. Happy Mail is always wonderful, and I know several stories of Happy Mail that has restored relationships. So it's a great way to start. If you're on the outs with someone, send them a card and just say, you know what, I'm thinking of you. I miss you. Um, I want to heal our relationship. Try it and let me see. Let me know. Let me know how it goes. All right. Have a super day. Bye.